We've often talked about the liturgical calendar, and there's another way we have expressed this liturgical calendar. And another way to see and understand the Christian year is to see it as the journey of evolution, the journey of our own becoming. We can take this life of Christ and not only look at it for what it meant to Him, but then to ask the question that this is also our journey. It's not only our journey, it is the journey of all creation. It is the journey of the whole cosmos. And we have it all right in our liturgical calendar. I don't know if you can read all this, but the journey begins, we begin Advent with Christ the King, right? Christ as with God, in the presence and body of God. And then we celebrate Advent and the coming into flesh. The becoming into God's own. God comes to God's self. The great homecoming of Advent. God gets fleshy. And God comes and lives with us. In the image and the message of Jesus, we don't know anything about Him for the first 30-something years of His life. And then we have the great event. Something about Jesus wakes up and He becomes the Christ. The metaphor of becoming enlightened or becoming into His own. And at this point, He somehow realizes who He is, the beloved. And He is united with God and with all of creation and all of humanity. And then we see the movement back up and this embodiment of what does it mean for Jesus to be Christ. And the way He lived out in His life, both healing and transforming and preaching truth and being truth and transforming people. And then as we just celebrate, He gives His life and empties it and gives it back to God and is taken back up into the life of God so that the cycle can start again. And we see that this is not only the cycle of Christ, this is the cycle of evolution. This is the cycle of our own becoming. And we can look not only at our individual lives, and we know this from all kinds of theories about human development, that we grow and change and we evolve. We change and we are able to adapt to our world and our culture because there is this ongoing process of dying and being born again, but being born somehow new, somehow different. And you, no matter what your age is, have already gone through this cycle of dying and being born anew. Every day, process theologians say the world is exactly that. It is a process. It's not a thing. Reality is not a thing. It is a process of dying and coming alive, and dying and coming alive, but new every time. And we not only know that we do that as individuals, we also know that culture is evolving. That we are changing in our cultures. They talk about this as worldviews. That as we evolve, our consciousness becomes more complex. That we are actually perceiving the world differently than did our ancestors. That consciousness is integrating itself and always becoming new and always expanding. We are evolving, dying, and resurrected anew. And so, one of the things that this story of Christ is, it is our story. And the opportunity is the same opportunity that Jesus experienced to become Christ in the world. And so we don't often say this, but I think there's some truth to it, that we can say, Jesus the Christ. And we can say, Molly the Christ. Tiffany the Christ. Fritz the Christ. Because there is, in the world today, a new way of being human. And it is because this person, Jesus, lived this embodied life. The same life that you are living. And woke up to who He was. But what happens is in Easter, in resurrection, that possibility is unleashed in the world. The possibility of being Christ is no longer just identified with the person of Jesus. And Paul names it. He says, it is no longer you who live. It is Christ who lives in you. Because of Easter, we have a new possibility of how to be human. That is the opportunity of Easter. That is the power of resurrection. That story gets unleashed in the world. And it becomes a possibility for all of us. For all of creation. And yet we know that for Easter and resurrection to happen, there must be this self-surrender and this emptying of oneself. I started thinking about that this week, and I wondered, I don't have any proof to back this up, so it's just an idea. I wonder if we do not surrender openly and surrender and empty with our intention, if that doesn't get opened up into our becoming each and every day. So that it's not just that we die, it's that we give ourselves to that death. We give ourselves to that change and therefore make it possible the next time around to integrate it. If it is not freely given, is it integratable? And so we are left with the choice of Easter, is the choice of our own self-emptying. The choice of our own death and dying. So that we may offer it to God for our own becoming. And we can trust that if it is given, it will be resurrected. If you can trust that your emptying is for the pleasure of God and is for your own becoming, then it will be integrated into the newness of your life. Pray with me. Gracious One, we rest in this opportunity. We rest in this sure knowledge that in our giving and emptying, we can become new. So take us, take what we are, and make it new. Make us fresh and alive again to our own becoming. And we pray